Hi, this is Debrasdailyhealthy, and I'm in the kitchen, and I've just been making a lot of Belgian waffles, and I thought it'd be a great way to share some tips. You can see them all there, and I've got the last one in the waffle iron. Now you can see I've got a lot of batter left over, and I thought this would be a great time to talk about some of those tips that people have been asking me on how can I make them my own personal healthy way. How is it that you make all these waffles, Deborah, for people? Because I make vegan waffles, I make protein waffles, I make fruit waffles, and yes, I make Belgian waffles. Now, a great thing to do when you're making your buttermilk waffles or your Belgian waffles. So let's start at the basics. People are like, I'm not lactose intolerant. I don't need gluten-free. I'm good with that. I just like to cut the fat maybe here or there, make it a little healthier. Yeah, I'm good with eliminating the sugar. So here's what I do. Use your low-fat buttermilk, okay? Make it a little healthier. If you're good with a little butter, because you watch what you eat, you're living a healthy lifestyle, use your clarified butter, your ghee butter. You're using a nice sugar substitute, or maybe no sugar at all. Maybe you're sweetening with dates, whatever, applesauce. Okay. Another great way to add flavor. Oops, that one's empty. See, I'm down to my last one. I'm going to tell you how to save that extra batter, because we love waffles. We're going to have chicken and waffles today. So here's my last Belgian waffle. Okay. Whew. Got a lot of waffles. I'm also going to teach you how to freeze those. Okay, so where was I? Another great thing is, depending on the recipe you're using, I created my own recipes. I replaced like the cream and the heavy cream with things like a lower lactose, sugar-free French yogurt, also a zero-fat Greek yogurt, plain. I also do things like, I always, when I'm using my eggs in my waffles, 100% of the time, I separate my eggs. My egg whites go in last so that I have a nice, fluffy, light waffle. I mix everything up, and that egg white goes in last, and you always fold it in. Make sure everything's mixed really good. You don't want to get to the bottom of your batter and find out you've got clumps of flour and things like that, okay? So that you have a nice, fluffy. You don't ever want to over mix that egg white. Now, if you're finding that you don't have light, fluffy, kind of crisp waffles, it could be a couple things. One, your waffle iron may not be hot enough. And if you're finding that your waffle iron is up as high as it'll go and it just seems like it's taking forever, it could be like mine that kicked the bucket a couple weeks ago. My waffle iron is used a lot, and it always is. Waffles are one of the favorite things around our house, and we will actually make a bunch. We've done this for a long time. We'll freeze them, have them ready to go, pop them in the toaster. We'll keep extra batter so we can make one real quick during the weekdays. And that's why I really got into making the different flavors and the vegan waffles. But now I have a wonderful, I'm gonna give them a plug, it's Cuisinart. It's a double waffle maker, double waffle iron maker, and I love it. And I can make 2 waffles at a time. So I will always make sure it's just super hot, but the other one was taking longer. And so that might be it. It also might be that you might have overmixed your egg whites. Could be that too, okay? Also, make sure that your flour, so let's talk about flour. If you are gluten intolerant, if you have issues with gluten, and you're finding that your waffles or anything is really heavy, a really good friend is your sifter. Now, if you're looking at this going, what is that odd medieval contraption that this old lady has in her hand? Okay, I think maybe my grandmother gave this to me, because a lot of flour is kind of different. Bread's really different. And that's actually why a lot of people have issues with gluten now, okay? I'm not going to digress and get into that, or I'd be here a long time. But your almond flour is very heavy. And if you're making recipes, they'll say they want a fine flour. And this is hard to find. Even when you find it, many times you will be disappointed with your recipe because it's just not fine enough. And you got a cake or you got something that is like, blech, it is thick, okay? So if you sift it, it's better. Also, things whether it's a sugar substitute or powdered sugar substitute, if you sift it, it's always going to turn out better, okay? Because air gets to it, once the package is open, and let me tell you, it makes all the difference in the world. Your coconut flours, things like that, sift it, especially when you're making a cake. Now, every once in a while, you get a recipe that says, do not sift. That's important. Also, there are certain cornmeals that you buy them, especially in bulk, and they are thick and heavy. You may need to grind it down a little bit. So that's helpful. So this is a really good partner with waffles, right? Another great partner, if you don't have that, is use your food processor. Super handy. You can put that on a fine grind. You may even have a grater attachment that has a fine grate that it can go into, but usually just putting that in your fine processor mill, or you may have some type of other electronic device, but sifter is super great. Okay, so that'll help you with your flour if your waffles are a little tough. Now, I make a vegan waffle, and it is made predominantly with cashews and oatmeal and some other great things. And those nuts, they have to be soaked, okay? And this is a really, really, really popular waffle. And I make many things that are sweetened with applesauce, they're sweetened with dates, and you really have to make sure that those things get really just blended really well, emulsified. So you're gonna want your food processor for that, maybe even an immersion blender, depending on what it is, like the applesauce, to really just make sure it's just totally part of the batter and it's not in chunks. So that's really helpful. Another thing that you can do when you're avoiding sugar, because I avoid sugar at all costs, is spices. Things like cinnamon and your vanilla really make a difference. And depending on what type of waffle you're making, because I make a lot of different flavors of waffles, pecan, I make a fruit waffle, a berry one, chocolate chip, pumpkin, and so you've got your pumpkin pie spices. You might be, the chocolate chip, I mean, I could go on and on. Banana goes in there. Now, I will tell you, if you're putting banana in, that is some sticky stuff, okay, because you want a little riper banana. You really want to make sure that you have primed your waffle iron. So if you're really against using aerosol spray cans, you might want to buy one of those ones where you can put your oil in and spray and pump it, or use your brush. This is really important because they will stick. And I know this when I make my super power pack protein waffles, they stick really bad. I should say they did. I figured this one out. So if you're ever needing a little help with this, let me know, because you don't want to put so much oil on there that they're going to stick. But that's something to keep in mind. Now the buttermilk ones, use that low-fat buttermilk. And there's also substitutes for buttermilk. So when I'm working with my clients and we're creating a menu program for them, I give them a list of things to substitute, because they may be creating their own recipes, and I want them to know there's a lot of really good tasting things that they can use instead of. So I hope that helps. And you know, whether it's salt, they don't have to put salt in. These Belgian waffles have no salt in them, and I've got a lot of extra batter. We're gonna freeze up some extra ones. If I put them in Ziploc bags, I wait for them to cool. I put them in a nice tight plastic wrap, and then I put them in the Ziploc bag so that there's no air getting to them, there's no frost on them, or I vacuum seal them. But I'm very careful with that so the vacuum sealing doesn't crush them. And then we can just pop them in the toaster or the microwave, and they're really great on the go. And I do those kind of things with my other waffles as well. So enjoy waffles. They're really great. If you're on a food program and you're still referring to it as a diet, you're on the wrong program, okay? A diet is temporary. A diet is not pleasant. So think about that. You should enjoy life. You should enjoy food. We control it. It doesn't control us. Have a great day. Thank you for your time. And if you have any questions, you need any support, my name is Deborah. And this was Debra's Daily Healthy. Thanks for joining me in my kitchen.